Hello, and welcome to the One Life Church devotional series where we cover the entire Bible in 20 months. Well, today's chapters are Psalm 135 and Hebrews chapter 4. I'm down here on Sea Point beachfront for this first chapter, and then we're going to Somerset to go and preach at a church there, and so we'll pick up Hebrews chapter 4 later this morning. Praise the Lord. Praise the name of the Lord. Praise him, you servants of the Lord who minister in the house of the Lord. So when this was originally written, it was for the priests. But of course, you and I are priests now, aren't we? We're all priests of the Lord. So this is an urge for us to sing. And then this is what they say. The Lord does whatever he pleases. In the heavens, on the earth, in the sea, and in all the depths. The sea does a lot of things, isn't it? I'm told. We know less about what's going on in the depths of this sea than we know that's going on in the solar system. And so who knows the mysteries of what's going on inside there? And God has set it in motion, and he does what he pleases. And so as priests, we worship a God who does what he pleases. But the most amazing thing is we can trust him because he does what he pleases, but he's loving and he's good and he's kind. But then it says in verse 15, the idols of the nations are silver and gold made by human hands. Verse 18, those who make them will be like them, so will all those who trust in them. He's basically saying that you become like the thing that you worship, the thing that you adore. Have you ever heard it said that people become to look like their dogs? No, I don't know if that's true, but I think if it is true, it's because the dogs maybe spend so much time with their masters, they begin to mimic the expressions on their faces. I have no idea. Or whether you pick a dog that looks a little bit like you, I have no idea. But this is what it says, that what you devote yourself to, the idols that you worship are going to change who you are. And so this psalm is saying about worship God, all you priests of the Lord. Worship him who does everything he pleases, and as you worship him, you'll become like him, not like the nations of the world who become like the useless idols that they create. Now, this chapter is essentially about rest, and here I am. I've just finished preaching at the Somerset site, and I'm at a rest stop. It's the perfect place to be dealing with Hebrews chapter 4. Now, it says there remains therefore a Sabbath rest for God's people. What does that mean? Some Christians believe that means Saturday or Sunday, they shouldn't do any work. There's a principle of rest at play here. Now, you know, the Bible makes it very clear that that's not essentially what they're talking about in Hebrews 4, but Colossians says you shouldn't judge people on their views of the Sabbath. Colossians 2:16 says, therefore let no one pass judgment on you on food or drink, regards festivals, or the Sabbath day. Now, to some people, it's a sacred moment, and we shouldn't look down on them for that. But the reality is, this is not the rest that the writer to the Hebrews was speaking about. He uses three pictures here to describe rest. One is the journey that Israelites made into Canaan, and basically they were freed from the Egyptians, they were freed from desert life, and they were given rest when they entered into the promised land. But this is very clear in Hebrews chapter 4, is that generation didn't enter into the rest. Then the second picture is the rest that God had after creation. He worked for 6 days and then he had a rest. You know, putting the principle at play there that we were to live in rest. But sin entered the world, and suddenly the rest was replaced with sweat and tears and work. And that's the second picture. The third picture is that of the Sabbath day. Verse 9 says, so then there remains a Sabbath rest for the people of God. For whoever has entered God's rest has also rested from their work as he did from theirs. By the time Jesus arrived on earth, the Sabbath was looking pretty ugly. This picture describing the rest. In Matthew chapter 12, verse 1, it says, at that time Jesus went through the grain fields on the Sabbath. His disciples were hungry, and they began to pluck heads of grain. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said to him, look, your disciples are doing what is not lawful to do on the Sabbath. What did Jesus do when they came up with all these rules about resting on a particular day of the week? He said to them, the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath. What was he doing? He was pointing them to himself. And so basically, the Bible speaks about us living in a restful place. living with Jesus. The fact that the people of Israel didn't enter into Canaan, but they were still God's people, means that it's more than salvation. It's living. Sabbath living is living with the rest of Jesus. There's a faith to enter into salvation, and there is a faith to live a non-striving, non-legalistic, non-fleshly way of living. And that is entering the rest of Jesus. Not only trusting Him for your salvation, but trusting Him to help you live your life. That's in essence what Hebrews 4 is all about.